got to fight this guy. Oh, you got injured in camp. You lose to that guy too. Now you're set back when you could have been a champion.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of like weirdness going on with possibilities and just luck, bad luck, and good luck.
Bad luck and good luck. Timing, I think, is a big
Yeah.
thing.
How is something like this allowed to happen? How how is Jake Paul allowed to fight Gervonta Davis?
I
It's
don't know.
completely unfair. It is completely just it's I, I can't say the word that I want to say because I don't want to get canceled.
Planet. And then going out there and taking on a guy that is maybe 92 pounds heavier, that is at least 65 pounds heavier than you. That is called one thing. That's called being a bully.
Joe Rogan criticizes Jake Paul for fighting Gervonta Davis, even though there is a huge size difference. He says weight classes exist to protect fighters and ignoring them is dangerous. Rogan believes Jake only cares about promoting the fight, not about fairness. He says Jake's bigger size and power could seriously hurt Tank, making the fight unsafe.
Sure, but no time limit within the weight classes.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
That would be that'd be pretty wild.
Yeah, that'd be pretty
because
crazy.
like two guys are facing off each other, like, and they know like there's no rescue every 5 minutes.
Yeah. And you go into it knowing you're either getting knocked down or submitted, or you're doing that to the other person.
Shale Bisping also questions Jake Paul's choice. He says Jake is fighting someone almost 100 pounds lighter, which is unfair. Bisping reminds people that Jake's fight with Mike Tyson was already strange because Tyson is 58 and retired. Now this fight with Tank Davis looks even worse. He says Jake wants attention and an easy win instead of a fair fight.
One thing, that's called being a bully. It was bad enough when he fought Mike Tyson, a man that was 58 years old, and he was walking around like, oh, I just beat the baddest man on the planet. I just destroyed Mike Tyson and went out there and I beat him, and him and his brother are all celebrating and shit like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing? What don't you understand about this? If you want respect from your peers, if you want everyone on the planet to look at you and take you seriously and give you credit as a boxer, you have to take on challenges that are real. You have to go up against someone that keeps you up at night, against someone that gets you out of bed in the morning to go for a run because the fear of them beating you down is real. Not going up against someone that is so small. If you were to go up to this guy in a bar and try and start a fight with them, people would look at you and say one word, whoa, 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 stop being such a bully. Leave him alone. You are way bigger than this guy. And that's clearly what we have here. It is ridiculous. When you look at the tail of the tape, Gervonta Tank Davis, granted, a very, very skilled boxer, a world champion. He's had some great wins. He's had a tremendous career. He's got 28 knockouts on his record. I'm just looking at the tail of the tape here. 30 years old, Jake Paul, 28. Gervonta Davis is 5'5" tall, whereas Jake Paul is 6'1". I would never dream on picking on a guy that is 5'5" tall. Granted, there's some tough guys out there that are 5'5". Okay, they're smaller guys, but for 5'5", they'll pack a good punch. Typically, they're mixed martial artists or boxers. Yeah.
Atlas reacts to the face-off and points out the big size gap. He jokes that Tank is so small he might need a ladder to reach Jake's chin. But then he says seriously that the fight is to one-sided and looks wrong from the start.
Things, right? They should also have like the size of the ring, the size of the glove, all that stuff. Particulars should be in the contract. But I would probably look for one thing that is not the common thing to have in a contract if I'm Tank. A ladder. A ladder. Can I get a ladder? Somebody? You know what I mean? Hey, look, if he hits him on the chin the way he can punch, uh, Jake might be doing a dance. You know what I mean? Not voluntarily either. But we'll get into that more later. The thing that I'm talking about right here is what you said. It was stark. The size difference was really, you couldn't ignore it. We understand the talent difference, the experience difference. We understand all of that. But the size, the pure, and we understand small guys can beat big guys. We just saw Crawford do it to Canelo, but a little a little different. The size difference was, I mean, it was eye catching, jaw dropping, and it made me think. And I'm gonna ask Richie, our man here who's doing all the taping, who does such a marvelous job. I'm gonna ask him because I know he's an expert in this area. but it reminded me of one of the Rocky movies where they had the face where they did the wrestling thing with Rocky and Hulk Hogan, aka Thunderlips. He was Thunderlips back there.
Joe Rogan says again that Jake Paul's fights are more about promotion than competition. He explains that Jake creates unusual fights just to get attention from casual fans. Rogan says these fights are not real sporting challenges, but only a way for Jake to stay famous.
That's a problem. That makes it a problem. My opinion is, I just want to say, in case someone calls me into court, I'm a fucking idiot and I don't know nothing. And don't take my advice.
I love the Saudis.
Don't take my opinion.
I love the Israeli government. I love
That
everybody.
had nothing to do with them.
Hmm?
That was Jake Paul promoting it. You know, it's just like,
but
doesn't bother me.
There's compromising the sport, and that's like bad. It's just like
if I bet on it, it bothers
watching
the
it
fuck
is
out
hard.
of me.
Watching it with people who are so in on it, and then also like, man, the sports betting apps. They introduced like chat apps in them in Australia, so it's like they're trying to take the place of social media companies where you go together and you meet your friends. Like betting should be exciting enough without having a weird.
They're just trying to draw you in.
Thing.
They're just trying to make money, right? So they're trying to draw you in any way they can.
Valiant Erdelerp says Tank Davis was not in the right mental state to fight Lamont Roach. Before, Tank was dealing with personal problems and did not want extra stress. That is why the fight did not happen. Ellerb says Tank was focusing on his life and peace of mind, not on proving something in the ring.
Leonard Ellerby said, to tell you the truth, Gervonta Davis couldn't get up for Lamont Roach. And what does that mean? It means that he could not get inspired, that he was not motivated to fight Lamont Roach, that his mind was not in a place where it was like, yeah, okay, let's get it. And he was going to war with Lamont Roach. He was going through the motions with Lamont Roach during the training camp and could never really get himself motivated to really give the best of himself against Lamont Roach. And that probably affected him during training and during the fight. And that is something that can happen, especially if you really look back on what happened with the Lamont Roach fight and all of the ups and downs about that fight being made. Because first, if you recall, he wasn't supposed to be fighting Lamont Roach. The person he was supposed to be fighting was Vasily Lomachenko. You know, the guy that everybody says that he doesn't want to fight, that he didn't want to fight. Gervonta Davis was up and prepared to fight Vasily Lomachenko. So it shouldn't surprise anybody that if he tries to make a fight with Vasily Lomachenko, that fight doesn't go through. Then he tries to make a fight with Lamont Roach. He can't get the fight done for Houston with Lamont Roach because there was all kind of venue problems and drama going on around Gervonta getting a venue in Houston. So they wind up eventually moving the fight to New York City and pushing it back even further. So not only is it a fight where he didn't just jump out of from his last fight that he had and jump into a fight with Lamont Roach, he got held up. And then also during that period of time, he had to spend some time in jail for a parole violation after them. Well, I believe that might have been after the Lamont Roach fight.
Reports say Gervonta Davis plans to retire after his fight with Jake Paul. Sources say this fight is not about winning titles or fame, but about making money for his future. People believe Tank took the fight to secure financial stability and then leave boxing.
What you making? Like, let's go band for band on what you making. Again, there's nothing wrong with Tank going to get his money, but let's all be clear that that's all the fight is for Tank. He's telling you without telling you that he's fighting Jake just because he's getting $40 million. So when we talk about boxing being dead, Tank has to line up at the front of the line. I can't blame him, but don't throw around, oh, boxing's dead and people switch sides and all of that. You chose not to be great. That's it. You chose not to be great. Stuff like that, choices like that will kill boxing. For sure. On a competitive level, it won't kill it on a business level. On a business level, until people run out of interest in these kind of matchups, it'll do well. On a competitive level, choosing not to fight the best will kill the sport. So maybe it's better if people like Tank aren't in the sport. And I don't even say that because I want that to be the case. I think Tank is ridiculously talented, but you can't want a fighter to fight more than what they want to. You can't. Tank fans or Tank people that like Tank and think he's one of the best, you can't want it for him. And then Shakur came back with, that's how I know you soft. I can't even go back and forth with you soft ass. You rather pop to me on social media than get in that fire and get embarrassed. I get it. Peace and blessings upon you, cuz. He says, the people got you chest out so bad. You talking like you a killer, forgetting that you the one that runs, bitch. I'll be bring the fight to you. This dude, a made-up character. Quote, blessings upon you. Clown-ass dude, wanna be Kevin Gates. Oh my goodness. I mean, here's the thing though. You can't say that stuff about Shakur if you're not willing to fight him. This is the point I think that we're going to come to today is that Tank can say all this stuff he wants, but if you're not willing to fight Shakur, then none of it means anything anymore. Even if you believe that Tank is going to knock him out, even if you believe that Shakur's a runner or that he's not in the trenches or he's not a boxer that's willing to bring the fight or whatever, none of it matters. You're talking from the sideline because you won't fight him.
Daniel Cormier says he cannot believe this fight was approved. He remembers the press conference where Tank did not even know what weight class the fight was in. Cormier says that shows how strange and unsafe this fight is. He says Jake is much bigger, and the size difference is dangerous. He questions why boxing officials allowed it.
Jake Paul. Yesterday they had their first press conference. One of the most recognizable things is Jake Paul is huge compared to Gervonta Davis. And two, Gervonta Davis don't even know what weight they fighting, D.
Maximum weight of 195 pounds for this exhibition. It was 190. The fight will be contested over 10 3-minute rounds. I said it was 190. The fight is 195 pounds, Tank, as you know.
DC, I watched this. And we have our priorities way misplaced when we're talking about boxing. Like everybody's complaining about this Ali act and all. Like, how is something like this allowed to happen? How is Jake Paul allowed to fight Gervonta Davis? It's
I don't know.
completely unfair. It is completely just. It's. I can't say the word that I want to say because I don't want to get canceled. But this fight should not be happening. And the press conference was embarrassing. Gervonta Davis should not have a mic in front of him. It was absolutely embarrassing watching this thing.
D, why? Why, D?
Just the fact that, like, every time when Jake Paul would say something to Gervonta Davis, he didn't know how to answer it. He was comparing himself to like P. Diddy at moments, and I was like, oh my God, get a mic away from this guy. This fight shouldn't be happening. And then he didn't even know what weight they were fighting. He's like, I thought it was
That's bad,
190.
D.
No, it's 195.
That was the craziest thing. That was the thing that stood out to me the most. Was that when they go, the rehydration limit or something is 195. And he goes, wait, I thought it was 190. Dean, that's bad.